just an old truth teller. I'm your candid friend. I'm not some daydream seller. I do not.
Hello, everybody. I want to talk about current events. I want to talk about something that's very important, near and dear to me. Volunteerism. And in the midst of a lot of things, we take volunteers for granted. We always have. And volunteers are used to a little abuse. We're used to it. But what we're seeing now in this country is we're seeing a decline of volunteerism that's unprecedented. Generations aren't heeding the call to action to serve. And without that, what will happen is that an entire generation will not benefit from learning about the importance of service to others. They won't learn about helping their community. They will not learn about the camaraderie, the coming together with people from different backgrounds on a common cause. And I think that that's one of the most important things about volunteerism that just doesn't get stated enough. There are a bunch of numbers. Women volunteer more than men. There's a shock. Women get off their butt more than men. I've just had a government study. Men are lazier. Give me $50,000 for my grant. 35 and 54, 55 is the sweet spot for volunteers. And I would even add to that because of gaps in maturity, that if you are somebody like myself who works with volunteers and uses the different mediums to recruit volunteers, what you find is that usually 35 is the starting point, but you're getting a sweet spot in the 40s for people where their lives are stable enough and the maturity is there to commit the time. The average associated cost of a volunteer hour in independent studies is $24.14 on average. Volunteers save you hundreds of billions of dollars a year in tax money. Pennsylvania is a huge state for volunteer fire departments, and that number is declining rapidly. Nationwide, up to 3/4 of our of our fire departments are volunteer. So if that's not funded, if those volunteers stop coming, then what's going to happen is that that's going to have to be replaced by people that are making a minimum of $24.14 an hour or something like that. And your taxes are going to shoot up and your safety is going to go down. And I know I'm focusing a little bit on emergency services because that's my wheelhouse. I volunteered in other things, but nothing feels the same to me as emergency services. They're all important. I have felt the camaraderie and everything, but there's a tighter thing that's built in emergency services, I think, because of just the sheer nature of the vocation, not to diminish any of the other things, but there's just the sheer intensity and the pressures and circumstances make the bond stronger, quicker, and longer. $184 billion a year. Volunteerism saves $184 billion a year. It's the best exercise. It's good for your mind. It's good for your heart. It's good for your soul. It helps HR departments. Minimum 27% had said that they look for it on your resume, and they consider it a plus. You have a better chance getting a job. 1/4 of the volunteers are under 25, meaning 3/4 over 25. And then you've got that sweet spot I was talking about. It started right in Philadelphia with Benjamin Franklin, the Union Fire Company, and that's not that volunteerism was invented by Benjamin Franklin, because Benjamin Franklin, who is one of my heroes, I think gets a lot of credit for a lot of things, because back then you could just invent spoons, spoon, fork, or whatever. You could invent anything. Uh, I think what he did was he did what he did with many things. He structured it and formalized it. Volunteerism was around. We had a volunteer army, so it was around. Another one of my favorite people, Aristotle, said about volunteerism. Um, he talked about a full and complete life and the meaning of life, and he thought a big part of that was service to others. And I agree with that. There is something rewarding about it, being able to help, being able to work a skill out. What I found is that, and one of the things that really bothers me, is that a lot of times volunteer has been treated like a dirty word. People act like it's unprofessional because you're not a paid employee. And that's not true. You're an unpaid employee. You're not an unprofessional employee. What volunteers do is they work the same jobs. They work 40 hours a week, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, like their paid counterparts in emergency services. And then in that slice of free time that they have, they give a part of it, some another 40 hours a week, to volunteering. So there's a double commitment. It's like adoption versus having a birth child. There's similar things, but you come in from different angles. You come in with different motivations, different places in your heart. And one of the freedoms of volunteerism is you don't feel that monetary pressure to be there. You choose to be there. And one of the exhausting things is somebody who has been a volunteer for a while in different places and been in a leadership role in different places. One of the things that volunteers find discouraging is watching a paid person that doesn't care about their job, or having a paid person assume the role and have authority over you in your wheelhouse, in your area of expertise, but they're not passionate about their job. And when the clock strikes, they're leaving, or when the overtime's over, they're leaving. They don't care. We don't come for the money, and we don't leave for the money, but volunteer organizations do need money to sustain themselves. They give you a discount service and save you hundreds of $billions a year. You can go on to several services. Charity Navigator is one. Check them out. Find somebody to give some time or money to help out, to ease this burden. And ironically, most volunteer organizations are supported by the volunteers. We underestimate the power of the smallest bit of giving back. And we have to ask ourselves, look in the mirror and say, what am I doing for others? And that's the key right there. What are you doing for others? Because that's part of the formula for true happiness. And, volunteers don't always have the time, but they do always have the heart for doing the task that's put before them. It's very rewarding. It's very fulfilling. And I think that people should give it a try. Parents should be encouraging their children. And if you're too embarrassed to encourage your children because you've never done it, there's another problem. Because we've got a whole generation that's not learning anything about it. So find a place that matches your time, your schedule, and you do have the time. Whether you think you do or not, you do have the time. Because I don't see a lot of people that say they don't have time. That there's this cult of busy where people think they're busier than they are. And there's this direct correlation between the cult of busy and the size of the television set that they have. I've always noticed that big TVs seem to think that they are busier than they are. So find something that you can do. Make the time for it. Make sure you can match up with the obligations and commit to it for 3 months or 6 months. Don't commit to it for 1 visit or 2 visits. Size it up and then commit to it. And you will find it is one of the most rewarding things that you've ever done. You will not regret it in most cases. And even though I focus on emergency services, you can help anywhere. There are applications, and for your smartphones, there are websites where you can search out customized to what you want to do in your time. You can find a vocation that works for you. So find something, give some time, have your kids give some time, and become a family that has a tradition of volunteering in the community and make a change. Everybody isn't out doing protests or doing stuff. There are lots of people that do lots of things to help that you never hear about. Be one of those people. Give it a try. And I just thought that I would say that because while people have their time on their hands, they can do some research. And don't be somebody who wastes the time of the volunteer organization by going through the whole process and then not delivering it. In volunteerism, we always see after times of crisis like this, people come and they have their own internal moral crisis and they want to give back. And they think that filling out an application is the same as coming and participating. And they'll fill an application, they'll never follow through, they'll never show, and they'll tell their friends for the rest of their life, oh yeah, I was with that group. Yeah, I was with them for a short time. No, you filled out a piece of paper. You never put any boots on ground. You never got dirty. You never did anything. So, in closing, get off your butts, go out there and make a difference. Be more than your taxes, because if all you do is pay taxes, all you get back is government. This country was founded by volunteers, and it's still run by volunteers to a large degree. Be one of those people. Go out, do some good, because volunteerism matters. It's still relevant. It should be kept relevant. And thank you very much. And I'm going to end it because when I see the little heart come up on the screen, I think it's because I'm having chest pain. So that's why I always end when the first person likes something. Take care. Bye-bye.